This is going to be kind of an update on some research that I've been keeping an eye on for many years, but this is from probably back about 5 or 6 years ago when I discovered that there was a canyon in the water off the coast of New York City called Babylon Canyon. And right beside it is a canyon that's a little bit larger called Hudson Canyon. And these canyons, as you'll see, they lead right up into New York City. And I proposed that it would be the perfect location to fulfill all of the movies that have shown New York City being flooded by a tsunami, as well as fulfill all of the way the gematria numbers line up, the way they've been showing it in many, many ways. And I tried to find my old video and I cannot find it. It may be on some older chips that I've got put away. So I'm going to look at that and I may upload that if I can find it. But I've still got most of the information, and I've done a couple of videos in the past about this, but why am I talking about it today? Let's get to the point. Because Biden is going to declare Hudson Canyon a marine sanctuary. Okay. And let me show you kind of where it exists here so you can see that. This is the canyon right here, straight off of the mouth of the Hudson River, okay, and Manhattan and all that area there. And the other canyon, which we're going to take a closer look at here in a moment on one of the Google products. And right beside it right here is Babylon Canyon, okay. And like I said, the Hudson is a bit bigger, and I'm a little surprised that although the area that they're showing, that's interesting. If this area is the actual area of the what did they call it? For the marine sanctuary, because Biden cares about fish. If this is the actual outline, actually Babylon Canyon, it would be included within this, because it's right there in the side of Hudson Canyon. And I just realized that it's included in the boundary that they're showing here that is going to be the sanctuary. So I'll read a little bit of what they said here. Now you have to understand what they're saying and what they're doing and planning is always two different things, especially when you just happen that Biden is now protecting the area where nobody can go there, of where I've been suspicious that they may set up some things that go bang, big things that go bang, to create a tsunami coming into New York City. And blame it on whoever, whoever the enemy of the day is. Of course, they would blame it on, just like what happened in New York back in 2001. Hopefully you're aware of that situation. So it says Hudson Canyon, a vast gorge in the Atlantic Ocean that is home to endangered whales, sharks, sea turtles, would become a national marine sanctuary under a proposal made by Biden administration on Wednesday. And this just came out a day or two ago. Located about 100 miles southeast of the Statue of Liberty, the Hudson Canyon would be off limits to oil and gas drilling in order to protect marine life and cold water coral. They want to save stuff. Yeah. Don't buy it for a second. Now, does it mean that that's what they're up to? No. But this is suspicious, because that canyon has been there since the first person ever set foot in New York. And now all of a sudden, as things are heating up, as you know what I mean, with everything that's going on, and I'm watching it all. But I only want to bring things to you. I don't want to repeat propaganda news. I've grown and developed over the years, and I just can't convince myself to come on here and just repeat propaganda news in order to put y'all guys in more fear. Okay? However, if this is true, if they do have a plan of tsunami in New York City, then, well, it would be scary, especially if you live there. So, no, I can't say for sure this is going to happen. What I can say is that all the way back about 2014, maybe even, about 2014, 2015, somewhere right in there. Some of you guys will remember I started saying there is a reset coming. The propaganda that they were putting out and the symbolism they were putting out was saying time is running out. Time's up. You remember the time's up thing? Time's up. And I was saying over and over in many videos that there's a reset coming. Now, what are we right in the middle of? Yes. Unfortunately, my prophecy that a reset was coming came true. And you could call this a prophecy because personally I believe this is going to happen. And if you don't already have enough reasons not to be living in New York, especially close to the water, and I'm not talking about New York upstate, I'm talking about areas that are close to the water, like all of Manhattan and many other areas there, because there's a lot of water and a lot of rivers. But yeah, it's a prophecy that I'm putting out there that this is coming one day. And I believe this is a step that they're taking. So it says, so they're protecting the marine life, cold water coral, as well as several shipwrecks. Okay. Details including the boundaries of the proposed sanctuary and prohibited activities beyond drilling have yet to be announced. The proposal will undergo a public comment period through August 8th. So through 8/8/88 before it is finalized. And if you don't know what I'm pointing out when I say 88, it's a long story, but many of you do know. So I have another slide here, and then we're going to jump over and look at a few other things that are related to this. Let's see. The proposed designation comes as President Biden's climate and conservation agenda is stagnated in Congress. As a result, the administration has relied on executive authority to enact its goals. So in other words, just basically trying to make laws without using the system like it was originally designed. It says comparable in depth to the Grand Canyon, Hudson Canyon was created during the last ice age, they claim, and more than 10,000 years ago. It runs about 400 nautical miles in length and reaches depths of 10,500 feet. So that's a big canyon. And with a lot of water in it, that if you caused a great force to happen at the entrance to the canyon, you could drive a lot of water directly this way, and it would spread out, of course. But then you've got land coming in here. You got land coming in here. It's like a catch. So the waves, as they came in here, they would start the water would start rising greatly because the angle of the land this way and this way. So if a great push was caused from here, this is the perfect setup to flood the heck out of all this area back in here. Okay? Let's pray that I'm wrong. But I don't believe I'm going to be, just like I wasn't wrong with the reset coming. Okay, so let me pull up our other screen here, and continue with this. Okay, so here we are looking at Google Earth. Yeah, we can only use what we have access to, right? So here's the canyons. Let me back off here a little bit so you can get a gist of where you're at. Coming straight in off of the New York Harbor and all that area, right? And straight down here. And you have these canyons. This is Hudson Canyon and this is Babylon Canyon right beside it. And knowing how big it is, because I just told you how big it is, it's almost 2 miles deep and even wider. I mean, it's a huge canyon, like the size of the Grand Canyon. If you've ever seen that in person, you know what I mean when I say big. So you can imagine what kind of evil plan they could come up with coming in here, making this so you can't do anything here, and getting the setup together, right? Yep. I don't know when. I have suspicions as to certain years, but I would say this, prior to 2030, or maybe on 2030, but right in there, coming back this way towards our time right now, because we're in the middle of the Great Reset. That means they have to take down basically the last armed remaining country in the world. You heard what they did with Canada just now. Just said, oh, we're placing a freeze on new weapon purchases. A freeze? That's called a ban, because once they put that freeze in, they ain't going to thaw it out. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, some people have guns up here, but they're stopped them from buying any more. And down here, you know, they're working on it, or at least it appears like they might be. My theory is that they're not actually working on taking them from us. They're actually more likely arming us for a battle that's coming. And that's in another video that I'm going to be talking about. And that is it's looking more and more like they're going to be using something like Starlink, or maybe more specifically, and I'm going to get into this in the video in depth, so I'm not going to do it here. Plus, I'm not even sure I can talk about this on this video. They're going to use radio waves for the people who have taken the upgrade, if you know what I'm saying, in the arm. They're going to be using radio waves to communicate with that person's altered DNA and mess with their emotions. They can control their fear, they can control their anger, they can control because they're connected to the beast, you see. If it worked, if it took, because there's always the possibility that you got a placebo if you happen to have gotten it, and then you wish you hadn't have. There's always the possibility that it just didn't work with a person. But in general, I've seen the signs, and I'm going to get into that, but not more than that in this video. Do you remember that? This is the church that's in New York City that has this type of imagery on the pillars with angels standing above them, basically representation of angels. You know, of the city being completely destroyed by the water. See the water coming rushing through, and the cars are flipping and turning. Here's another one. Big kablooey in the middle of the city. All the buildings falling down. This is their way of telling you You can see one over here with a bunch of dead bones and skulls. And what city is this? We know that's the New York skyline. They already took down these two, didn't they? But they have a bigger plan. Much bigger plan. So you should remember that.